So it's totally okay to lose your running motivation. It happens. I'm a running coach. I love running, and I still lose my motivation to do that which makes me feel good, which is run. And I had an ex-client of mine come to me. He emailed me last night, and we restarted today, and he said he's really lost that motivation to do his running, his strength work, and it makes him feel good. He loves running, but sometimes the activation energy is high. And I hear from all my clients so often, especially right when they restart with me, that they're how motivated they are, how good it feels to be back working with a coach. And if that's something that you think would be beneficial, to try some new running things, to get going with some new strength and mobility work, do something different and fun, not have to think about your training as much. Check out looking for a coach. Check out my website. Okay, so alternatives for fueling versus gels and gummies and stuff like that for long runs and marathons, etc. So I've used dried apricots and dried dates before. That works pretty well. You can also see, I have a client of mine who he's boiled potatoes and put those in a baggie, salted them, but they were pretty good. You can use gnocchi as well. It's just the same thing basically. You can really use just about anything that you like the flavor of, you like the texture of, etc. Anything will work. Research has tested this, and they basically found, they've tested even like potatoes versus gels, and they found that as long as the athlete has maybe done some gut training, just use the thing before the race, you'll probably be okay with, like I said, pretty much anything. Okay, so Achilles problems could be from a variety of things. Running too hard too often can cause this, because running harder, it accumulates fatigue, and it also, the harder, the faster you run, you tend to land farther forward on your foot, which stresses the calf, the Achilles, more than a more rear foot landing. So this is just something to think about. Some people, and I don't know anything about you or your training or your running form, they land and they don't even let their heel touch the ground. So something to think about as well. If you have a pair of shoes that are really pushing in on the back of your heel, around that heel collar in the shoe, that could be something too. You don't want to be running and having your shoe pushing in on your Achilles. Look at insertional versus non-insertional Achilles tendinopathy. Eccentric calf drops could be something helpful as well. Hey, Ronnie, so good half marathon training plan. I don't know, nobody can send you a good one without knowing the details of your training history, your abilities, how far out the half marathon is, etc. I think the best training plan is one that follows you, not the other way around, and that comes from having a coach. And if you want some real good, specific motivation and accountability, check out my website, KyleCrans.com. But seriously though, I had an ex-runner of mine come to me today, and he's like, Kyle, I've just been off the bandwagon. I'm out of shape, and I need to be, guided and held accountable. And he has an injury history, so we're keeping him at a low effort, low volume, low consistency, but frequent workouts, frequent strength and mobility work to get him stronger and to hold him accountable in a smart, sustainable way. Okay, so you ran a marathon, you paced a marathon, and now you have 3 weeks until the next marathon. You are asking, what should your long runs look like between now and then? And I don't think you should do any long runs. Maybe 90 minutes easy. You're not going to get really that much more fit for a marathon 3 weeks from now. But there are many things you can do between now and then to make that run not as easy. Decrease your fitness. You can, mainly overdo the running. You have to focus on recovery. And, just because your legs feel fine when you go out to run an easy hour, doesn't mean they're going to feel fine when you go out to run a moderate to hard 26.2 miles. So focus on rest and recovery, yoga, walks, biking, and easy run. So the week of your marathon, I typically say do a run like easy half hour, maybe a few strides on Tuesday and Thursday. And then if your marathon's on a Sunday, maybe a short run walk on Saturday. Nothing fancy, super easy, 30, 60 minutes max. You want to run. You want to keep your legs fresh, so everything is easy, aside from maybe a few strides. But yeah, that's it. Don't be on your feet too much. The couple days pre-marathon, I say carb load a bit. Have some juice at every meal, some fiber-free, fat-free, easy, tasty way to get some carbs in is just some juice. And, day before, avoid any spicy food. Keep it simple. I like bagels and pancakes. The day before a marathon, you should be good to go. Okay, tips for zone 1 running. So, as a running coach, when I have runners come to me for coaching, regardless of their abilities, their history, etc., I get them on what I call the slow and strong mentality. Slow is we look at their recent running, talk about their running, talk about levels of perceived exertion, maybe heart rate, maybe pace, to make sure their easy runs are truly easy, nailing that zone 1. You're not going to be a successful, healthy, uninjured runner if you can't perfect the easy run. Number 2 is strength work. That's outside the purview of this video, I think. But, nasal breathing is excellent. I often have my runners nasal breathe. Moffatone method can be helpful. Levels of perceived exertion. Can you have a normal conversation? You might have to walk, jog, and that is fine. Okay, so you just did 2 marathons. You went for it at the first one, and it got hot, so you didn't quite make it. You paced another marathon. I don't know if you paced the half or the full. I think you paced the full. And now you have 3 weeks until the next one where you're gonna give it your best shot. You're gonna reach into that suitcase of courage, hopefully pull out that PR, whatever goal you're looking for. And you're asking specifically what your long runs should look like in the next 3 weeks. And I don't think you should do any long runs over the next 3 weeks. Maybe 90 minutes and easy. And, you can't really increase your fitness that much over the next 3 weeks. Your focus needs to be on recovery and getting your running legs back. And so there's a lot you can do over the next 3 weeks to hinder your performance. So I would keep your runs, maybe 90 minutes should be fine. Do some strides, some fartleks. Otherwise, the focus is recovery. So a night splint to keep your foot dorsiflexed instead of plantar flexing for 8 hours at night can help. Some people, it doesn't do diddly squat. And some people, it's helpful. Other things you can do are stretching, flexibility, mobility work down there. And doing the stretch where you're kind of, it's like you're just like pulling your toes up like this. I can't think of the yoga, like you're just sitting on your feet with your toes planted. That feels really good, and it's a really good stretch for the plantar fascia down there. Massaging on a golf ball can also be really helpful. Massage gunning, foam rolling the calves, doing just like good hip, glute, and core work to take some of the work off your lower leg also helps. And I'll link to some routines for that. Okay, so park run the day before marathon. So you said due to an injured ankle, you are just looking to finish the marathon. So you didn't say if the ankle is currently injured or if you have just lost a bunch of training due to a past ankle injury. So if the ankle is currently not great, I would certainly rest. I wouldn't run before the day before a marathon if the ankle isn't healthy. But if the ankle's fine and you just missed out on a bunch of training, so you're just doing the marathon to finish it, sure, do the park run. A 5K before the marathon, as long as you keep it truly easy, isn't going to be a big deal. You'll enjoy it. It'll be fine. So that's kind of where I would go with that. Does it still hurt or not? So I haven't taken CBD orally as a supplement, but I have used CBD cream before. And so what was happening was I had a quad injury. And so I would get the cream and I would put the cream on my quad. I would rub it in just like that, just for like 15 seconds. And actually, at the same time, I had a Decker-Veins syndrome in my thumb, which is just a thumb tendinosis. And my thumb got better, and it was aching for months to the point that I was almost ready to go see a physical therapist. And that got better in like a week of doing that. So I don't know if there was a connection or not. Can't say. But if I were to develop an injury of some sorts, you spend $20 on some CBD cream, worth a shot. I wouldn't just use it or take it just because. Okay, so when it comes to returning from injury to running from any sort of injury, Morton's neuroma, plantar fasciitis, etc., me as a running coach, when I have somebody come to me for coaching, the first two things we do, almost regardless of the runner's history or abilities, is slow and strong. That's what I call the slow and strong mentality. It's we make sure your easy runs are truly easy and slow enough so you don't accumulate fatigue, so you're not running a bit too hard, a bit too often. And number two, strong. In this preparatory period we call it, early on, when you're returning to running, perhaps, while your runs are short and slow, you start doing general strength and mobility work to improve your strength then, so you're stronger in the future. So yeah, seeing like somebody, a professional physiotherapist who can assess your strength isn't a horrible idea. However, in general, I think that even for most runners, jumping on some general strength and mobility, very hip, glute, core focused, body weight, easy, safe strength work is going to be beneficial. And so if you go to kylecrans.com/GSM, I'll link to it in this tweet, you'll see some super simple, safe, like I said, hip, glute, core focused strengthening routines that you do once or twice a week, and you're going to be better off because of it. How to minimize your injury risk during marathon training. Well, the two things I do with almost every runner that comes to me for coaching, regardless of their history, their running abilities, their goals, is to slow them down and get them doing strength work. And, slowing them down so their easy runs are truly easy, and strength work so their running economy is better. They're more resilient. They're stronger. They don't tweak their back the first time they go to shovel the sidewalk when it snows every year. All these things, doing plyometrics, lateral strength and stability work, mobility work, all this comes together to reduce your injury risk and make you a better, happier runner. So for myself and runners that I work with for carb loading, I say, generally the week of, eat fairly normally, maybe those 2 days prior. Get drinking some like apple juice, orange juice, stuff like that. A pint of that at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, maybe another one throughout the day, is an easy, fiber-free way to just really up your carb intake. The day before, I do typically recommend a low residue diet. So we're talking no fruit, very few, if any, fruits or vegetables. For me, it's typically bagels for breakfast, 1 or 2 bagels for breakfast. I'll prep one for the race morning. Lunch, homemade pancakes with some really good syrup. Dinner, white rice, air-fried tofu, and some soy sauce or something on top. Super simple, fiber-free, so it helps everything pass through a little quicker, a little easier, hopefully less problems race morning. Okay, so when it comes to being safe on ice, one thing to try, a couple things to try, are you can put screws, like just small screws, into the outsole of your shoes. Put it under your big toe, a couple under the pad of your foot, maybe 1 or 2 behind the heel. That can add a little bit of good traction, but those types of little spikes or screws, you can still run on pavement with them, not like yak tracks. You can't run on normal pavement when you have yak tracks strapped to your shoes. Also, a good light to illuminate the path. Like I have a 1,000 lumen headlamp, and it is the best. And also, I know that every time I have fallen, I've either been running fast and or not paying attention to where my feet are going to land. So oftentimes after a marathon, my job as a coach is to tell my runners not to run. And you're on, Friday, I think? I forget when, Thursday or Friday when you put up the tweet. And it would be about that time. I would have had you in the calendar, I would have put a 30 to 60 minute walk in every day if the person doesn't normally do that, and probably some yoga, also compression socks. And then typically around Thursday, I would do a half-hour jog, and then maybe Saturday or Friday and Sunday, go out for a half-hour walk, jog, just not a full walk. See how things feel, do a body assessment, and super easy, like the easiest run you've done in the last 3 months. And if you're feeling good, maybe alternate days next week, maybe do 30 minutes twice and then an hour over the next weekend. So my pre-race thing is, I don't know, this is kind of weird. I always run in the pair of socks that I'm going to race in the day before the race. It started as kind of a way to, I don't know, make sure the socks are good to go. I'm not sure, but I run in my race shoes and my race socks, just like a 5K jog the day before the race. And then I don't know, it makes me feel good, so I do it. So my two favorite running related books are Running with the Kenyans by Adirandan Finn and Depression Hates a Moving Target by Nita Sweeney. Excellent books. I have recommended them numerous times whenever running related book topics come up. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Two very different books also, but great perspectives from different types of runners, and they're good stories. They're not super here's what a tempo run is, blah blah blah, but like Born to Run, it's a good story. And aside from Born to Run, I think they're better. I think they're better stories. But check those out. And then Adirandan also has one, maybe two other books out since Running with the Kenyans. I haven't read them. I should, but I think picking up either of those would be excellent, a good choice for you. So if you're sick, I'm more inclined to say that. And I've said, if you have to tweet about it or you think, should I run, should I not run, you should probably not run. And I've told my runners, the runners I coach, that the best runners in the world, the fastest, the ones that just never get hurt, the old guy down the street that Boston qualifies every year, they're often the best at not running when something doesn't feel right, when it's their calf, their knee, their stomach, their head. It's often best to rest, and that could be the difference between taking 2 days off or a week very light, or getting an injury or making your illness worse. So, if you're ill, absolutely no running with a fever ever. But, hopefully you don't regret going out. But it's always best to rest if you have to think about it or if you're just not sure.